Bedrosian throws to Sandberg, and the pitch is grounded to second base. Thompson has it, throws to first. It's over. 27 years of waiting have come to an end. The Giants have won the pennant.
All right, Brad, we are back on Thompson to Clark. And last night, Brian and I, Hot Take Brian, did an episode of the Death Lineup, and I led that show saying, we're back on Facebook. And
there you go.
I don't know why we got banned from live streaming to Facebook after multiple emails to Facebook. Just give me one clue about what happened. They're like, how about you read these guidelines for the 17th time that we've sent them to you? No, we're not going to tell you anything. It's the secret sauce. Whatever it was, I should probably not say anything else because they may just ban us again for
get
no
kicked off halfway through the show today. You know why? It's just a bot. It's just a bot sending you back. Here's our guidelines. No, I know we follow your guidelines, but please tell us why.
The show in which you and I don't think there's a good possibility that we may have uttered one curse word in the entire history of the show. So for us to be removed in some way, I was trying to think. There's a possibility that it has something to do with a photo, but if I knew, I go, okay, I will never do that again. You guys tell me and I'll change up the process here, but nope. Yeah. Anyways, that is too much information probably for people listening. No. Thank you.
I think I figured it out. I'll guarantee you 100% that the Facebook streaming president is a Dodgers fan. I guarantee you that's the issue.
Especially after you tweeted that you wanted to send Donnie Walton and his shortstop play to the Chavez latrine.
Yes, please have him take him. Speaking of,
all right, well, we'll get into this, but lots of negativity on the Giants play, and deservedly so. What was the Sunday was the final game of the White Sox series. Is there a worse played game in Major League Baseball this year? I don't know. But then again, I saw a team base run into a triple play. So that was also pretty bad.
Yeah, but we've also said that a couple times this year. That's the worst Giants game I've seen in years. And then next week they say, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Watch this. And yeah, it's a tough stretch right now. But you know what? We're Giants fans. We hang in there. We enjoy our games.
That was the whole promotion of the mid '80s was hang in there.
Hang in there. And that's what we're doing. And you could read the articles that say the Giants are boring. They're boring to watch. It's unexciting. Yeah, I get that, but it's still summer. Yeah. It's still baseball. It's still Giants baseball.
We haven't hit 81 games yet.
No, you and I have gone through 1985. We have gone through 2019. I mean, we've been there. We've been there through all. It was 2019, right? That was the year they almost lost 100. So yeah, we've been through it all. We've seen it, and to have a team that's currently 2 games over 500 coming up on the All-Star break, there have been some good games. It hasn't been 78 games of just complete and pure trash. We've enjoyed quite a few games. It's just lately, and what did Janet Jackson say?
What have you done?
Done for me lately? So there it is. And that's what everybody looks at.
So to the podcast listeners, to the live streamers, thank you for tuning in. All the shows don't start so negative. It's just the last couple. But we're going to try to make some sense. Instead of just complaining about the team, Brad did some research. We've been kind of looking into, okay, we get it. they're playing bad baseball, but why are they playing bad baseball?
Yeah.
And before we get there, though, there was some news around the team these last couple of days. If you tuned into yesterday's game, you may have wondered, who is this VR kid? Villar. Is it Villar or VR?
It's VR, David VR.
David VR. Who is this kid who took Madison Bumgarner's first pitch and almost put it over the fence and then had another base hit to drive in a run? And he was literally maybe the only bright spot in that game yesterday. Even Rodon, who usually has been lights out of late, he struggled. And he had a quote that we'll talk about when we get more towards what we're the focus of this show. But before we get to that, we'll talk about the news. So VR made his debut. He's probably not going to stay very long. He's been a really good power hitter in the last couple seasons in the minors. I can't remember if when Roger was on our show, if he mentioned, because remember we asked him, like, who's kind of next, who could possibly help the team. He may have mentioned him, but just someone who can hit. He's played second base. I think he's played third base for the most part of this season. Evan Longoria obviously is their main third baseman, so that's kind of the person who's in front of him. And then there's been just a bunch of moves, because tonight, and we're recording about an hour and a half before game 2 of the series against the Diamondbacks, Brandon Crawford is back, which I don't know if you've watched the infield defense. They have desperately missed him, though. I don't know if you can blame it all on the shortstop position. Estrada and Walton and those guys, and then they shift, and all of a sudden, you have guys like who are very slow-footed, like playing in the middle infield because of shifts and stuff. So that'll be a great thing to just have him back, and hopefully he's a little bit rejuvenated, because we could use his bat as well as his glove. Kurt Casale got hurt, which is a bummer, because he's going to be out for like a month. And the Yerminator is the backup catcher tonight. So Austin Wynns was going to start, and it sounds like Joey Bart may be coming back here. There's not a corresponding move yet, I don't think. So they may still have to make one move, or maybe they think they can bring him up actually tomorrow instead. But it does look like Donnie Walton was optioned, and Jose Alvarez is back as well. So lots of changes, hopefully for the better. They need some positivity. Kapler called them out for their energy recently. What do you, I mean, does Crawford, just him being back, that's gotta be positive, right? He's been through the doldrums of these seasons. And when your manager calls the team out for energy, my immediate thought was Hunter Pence was doing the color commentary on one of the games recently. Can he come down and give these guys a speech? Like, can he fire them? Like, I don't know how much, Crawford and Belt and those guys in Longoria are necessarily like the, let's fire the team up kind of guys, but something needs to happen. Hopefully the vets sort of being back, and someone like Crawford, Lamont Wade is back as well. Hopefully that puts a little shot of adrenaline in them or something, because they need it.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, it's huge. Crawford is basically one of the top vets on the team. Anytime he's out of the lineup, especially out of the off the field defensively, the team's going to be a little bit down. They didn't have a chance to pick him up while he was gone, so now he has a chance to come back and help pick them up. I mean, when you look at his offensive numbers, they haven't been outstanding. So it's not like, oh, great, we get our greatest hitter back and our greatest defender. This season, he's struggling offensively, but he is not struggling defensively. He is still Brandon Crawford, still making plays.
There might be an issue with the range, from what it looks like.
It's possible,
but that could be related to the reason why he went on the DL. So we'll have to see that as it goes.
Yeah, and I'll take the slightly diminished range. He's not replacing anybody who also didn't have already a slightly diminished range, but just the baseball smarts, the veteran savvy on the field, having that back is huge. And like you said, I don't know if there is a rah-rah guy. I don't know if there's a guy who's going to close the clubhouse doors and say, I'm holding a meeting. That isn't Gabe Kapler, and he's not really a rah-rah guy either. He's very level-headed and
Yeah.
says pretty much like, we're this is how we're going to do it.
As
you
he
know.
was saying, we need more energy, he was doing it in a very monotone. He wasn't like, we need more. It was like, we need more energy.
Yeah, and even one of his quotes. Let's look at one of his quotes from yesterday after the game. He said, "I think things have a chance to turn very quickly. They only have that chance if we're very diligent about our work every day, and we don't get too high or too low." That's the even keel. That is Gabe Kapler. It's got to be somebody in the clubhouse, a player that needs to jump in and say, I mean. Does the captain do it? I mean, are we right now in the
He's got to be a captain, right? This is something it's on his list of responsibilities as the captain.
Yes, he has the captain's hat. It's time to step up. Or are we in the middle of the curse of the captain right now? I don't know. I mean, ever since the captain persona came on last season, there he is. And we get to the end of the season. He breaks his thumb, right? And then is out for the playoff series against the Dodgers. Giants going to lose that. And then we have the captain ceremony at opening day at Oracle Park.
Awesome.
And things were looking good. And then, it feels a little 2016-ish about now.
Yes.
Fiery start.
That's what it reminds you of, right? Like,
for sure.
They tailed off a little bit later in the season, from what I remember.
It was right after the All-Star break. They came. Well, they actually started a little bit before the All-Star break, and everybody thought, oh, they could use a rest. They came out of the All-Star break, and I want to say they lost something like 7 or 8 in a row, almost right out of the gates of the All-Star break, and everybody went, oh no. They'll turn it around. There's a good team, best record in baseball going into the All-Star break.
Yeah.
It did not happen. But
I think it was an even year.
Yeah, exactly. And we have an even year now. And so everything was starting to kind of roll and everybody got very excited. But yeah, I mean, there's got to be somebody that can step up and voice their concern. And Rodon did a little bit of that yesterday.
He caught himself, though. I don't know if you heard the full quote.
I did not.
He said something to the effect of something like, I voiced my concerns maybe to a positive and also a negative, sometimes. And so he was like being very careful because obviously he didn't want to alienate anybody. He's not going to call out his outfielders for playing horrible defense. To, I guess, a couple specific outfielders, but he was very careful. Like it wasn't the fiery Rodon that it could be in 2 weeks. It was the very careful. He used the quote about, something has to change a couple of different times. Even Alex Pavlovich, I can only tell because I know his voice fairly well, but he said something to the effect of, gosh, what was it? It was a really good question, but I was kind of surprised. Oh, he said, you sometimes are fiery yourself. Do you think your teammates need to raise that level or something like that? And he said yes. He said, so we need to do something there. Baseball can be weird in that way, right? Like the 2010 team, the band of goofballs, the band of misfits, just a bunch of cast of characters. The same, I guess you would say that 2004 Red Sox team, very similar, just a bunch of like nutty dudes. And then, we talked about this in the past when it becomes Buster's team, it's a little bit more straight and buttoned down. No more Buster. So there could be an identity crisis, and you're kind of using your manager to lead, but your manager is basically saying, it's interesting because he's saying 2 different messages, and I'm not sure if he means it that way or if it just comes out that way, but they play a certain brand of baseball. They prepare, and then it's almost as if something goes off a little bit. They don't know exactly what the right thing is to do because what they're expecting to happen isn't happening. And I saw that this week with a lot of the shifts. Man, that rough game, poor Marte, they were shifting everywhere, and he was giving up ground balls to where the shift wasn't. and so that kind of stuff to them, they're like, wow, we did not expect that to happen because the possibility of X says, and this is what's supposed. So there's something there that I really wonder if it is about the energy, it's not about the preparation. Some of that energy is not necessarily measurable. The Giants are a very measurable team. They measure everything. So there's something there. And I do wonder if it just takes a couple of goofballs. Jock seems like one of those guys, but he's only on a 1-year deal. And he's, letting line drives go a little bit over his credit card vertical leap.
Yeah.
Which had got, oh gosh, I just felt for Logan Webb there. I was like, this poor dude, this poor guy.
Well, and we see it game after game after game, and it kind of feels like if it's not Webb and Rodon, it's a bullpen game. We got Wood going tonight. It feels like a bullpen game. Who's going tomorrow night? Cobb, which again is going to feel, especially in Arizona, it's going to feel like a bullpen game.
He did pitch well for 5 innings against the Tigers, got out of there with a no decision. But ultimately, I thought that was kind of what we thought he was going to be. I think he went 5 innings, only gave up 3 hits. But there needs to be kind of a shutdown, right? Because in previous seasons that the Giants have been good, it was very rare where the offense was good and the pitching was good at the same time. Often it was like, we got to pick this up. Matt Cain's throwing 8 innings of shutout ball and loses 1-0. Like that was kind of how it worked back in the day. But there, it can be a quick switch. All of a sudden, Austin wins, gets hot, and it's like he becomes a little bit of your identity, like this guy who, not a super duper high prospect, but he's playing ball because he got an opportunity, and that becomes a little bit of the dynamic for you for the season. No one has really, we thought maybe it was going to be a little bit Luis Gonzalez before he got hurt. Obviously, Webb and Rodon are pitching excellently. They both should be just constantly winning baseball games. Even Duvall, Duvall, as good as he is, as electric as his arm is, he gives up more hits than you would even think he should be giving up. So it's got to be something in there that can kind of kickstart the team, and they can create some sort of identity. Because right now, I'm not even sure what the identity is. At least last year, you had Posey's playing like an all-star. These guys are, because of the Giants' way, because of their coaching and the 27 coaches, they're figuring out how to coach guys higher than their average. And what we're seeing now is these guys are just coming back to what their average is.
Yeah, and that's kind of the frustrating part too. I mean, you nailed that. I've been trying to think the last couple of weeks, who is this team? What is this team made of right now? And I'm just not sure. It's so frustrating to watch too, because usually on most teams who are good teams, you're going to get, the defense is having a tough time right now. Thank goodness the offense and pitching are picking them up. They're getting the strikeouts, getting the key base hits. 3 guys in the lineup back to back to back are clicking, and that is just not happening. So go back to what I was saying earlier about when you don't have Webb or Rodon going, it feels like a bullpen game. The thing defensively too is you've got Yaz and you've got Slater out there just absolutely killing themselves trying to make plays. And I sometimes, if I was pitching and I saw a player out there, gassing his way down the line and making an awesome play, I go, man, these guys are out there playing for us. And then the next ball, ground ball to shortstop, Walton throws it into right field, and you go, Well, I mean, you can't have 2/9 of your players out there just trying their butts off, and the rest of them like not doing
the
it defensively and not doing it offensively.
the worst Walton one. There's a double play ball. Belt throws to second. Walton and Logan Webb is covering first. Now, they're not going to get the guy at first base. The ball wasn't hit sharply enough to Belt. And Walton throws a baseball that spins Logan Webb the other way around. And this dude could have got hurt.
Yes.
The ball was 10 feet away from the bag at first base. I don't know where he was throwing it. Like, it was almost like one of those moments where he was like, I've never actually turned a double play where the pitcher was covering first base before. How do I do this? I'm sure he has, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And I was just like, imagine if Logan Webb would have got hurt on that play. Because Logan Webb reaches out, has to spin around, falls right on his butt, and you could just see the disgust on his face. Not that he was blaming Walton, but he was just so frustrated, that poor guy.
No, and first off, poor Donnie Walton. We're not gonna. He's not the scapegoat here. He's not the issue with the team.
100%.
Just to be clear, there are so many issues with this team right now. They're just not jiving. That's pretty much it. We'll look at some offensive stuff later as to why they're not jiving. We already talked about defensively over the past couple of weeks, and we could talk about that again because it hasn't gotten better. But we're not going to.
There were so many moments where you look at it now. I will say, Yastrzemski made some nice plays. He made some nice throws. He made some great catches. One where he bangs his knee out in center left field. Like he was making some really good plays, but then also he has to lead the league in making the last out of the game in the Giants lose. Like that's for whatever reason, he's always up when they're about to lose the game. But then on the flip side, you have Jock losing that ball, misjudging it, goes over his head, like a bases clearing double. You had him. There was another one where he misplays the ball in the corner and he grabs it with his glove instead of with his hand, and it falls out of his glove. And then there's the one with poor Darren Ruff. It was just like a hard ground ball hit to the left side, and Darren Ruff is playing so close to center field that he takes an angle to try and cut the ball off, and he misses the ball. His angle was like 10 feet short. Like no chance with that angle that he took. Ball goes into the corner. It's stuff like that where you watch it, and if it didn't look so terrible, you could sort of be like, okay, well, he looks like he's trying hard. But because it looks so terrible, it just looks like they have no idea what they're doing. And that's the part that's kind of scary and makes me wish that, we were anticipating the designated hitter for these last couple years. What about a designated fielder?
Yes. We have too many DHs. That's what it is. We have too many DHs that when you run out of lineup and you look at the defensive alignment and position players for the Giants, you look at that and you go, how is this going to work? And like you said, too, so if that happened to Ruff, I don't know, once every 30 games, we'd go, oh, man, okay, he was due. But when it happens every third game, you kind of go, we need to fix this. And everybody goes, well, we need Luis Gonzalez back. I don't know if you remember, but he wasn't gold gloving it out there in the outfield either. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. Because you think about it too, if this team just built a team right now of all defensive players, the Giants wouldn't be losing games 8-3. They'd be losing games 2-1. I mean, that would pretty much be it at the moment, because offensively, that's not happening either. So,
all right, let's talk about our drink of the day, and then we'll hit the kind of the stuff as to why maybe the Giants aren't playing as well. I'll let you go first. I've been going first a lot. Right. You can tell me what you're drinking.
Yeah, well, I killed the bottle today, and not because the Giants are stinking it up. It was due to get killed. My Four Roses bourbon, I just went single bourbon, 2 small ice cubes.
There you go.
It was that kind of a day. 4th of July was yesterday. I'm on a kick now of drinking lighter beers, and I told Denise the other day, I said I feel like I'm betraying the microbrew verse by drinking these lighter beers. I bought a 12-pack. And they're going to come to my house. The microbrew verse is going to come to my house when I say this, but I bought a 12-pack of Corona Premier.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because we are going to the beach, we are going to Tahoe next week, so we're going to be there for an entire week. And I like to drink beer on the beach, but I also don't like to wear the beer at the beach. So I don't like to have like 2 IPAs at the beach and then like slug out of there and I'm 3 sheets to the wind after 2 beers. So this, the Corona Premiers, I can have their I don't know, 4% alcohol, 90 calories, really low carbs. So I had a couple of those yesterday, just 2, felt good. That was nice. So today I thought I'm going to go a little bit lighter. I'm going to have the bourbon and a couple of ice cubes because it's so hot here today. And that's what I'm hitting. And I killed the bottle. I didn't even realize it. 2-ounce pour and that was it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So I was trying to find the title of this drink that about we've been talking about being on the kick of the mixed cocktails in a bottle and you just pour it over ice. So I done the ones from Bullet, and there's another company called On the Rocks, and they have a bunch. They have old fashions. They have something called the Aviation, which is gin. They have a Mai Tai, a Cosmo, some margarita stuff using Hornitos and Tres Generaciones tequila. And so I picked up the one that is the jalapeno pineapple margarita. Now, I always kind of wondered jalapeno infused stuff. I was like, how can it taste good in a sweet thing? Somehow it just does. Jalapeno infused stuff is really good, and I don't know what the reason is, the scientific reason why it works good with sweet stuff. But anyways, if you remember with the Bullet cocktails, I was just like, this is too sweet. I need to water it down. I still need to water this down, but I think the mix is a little bit better to where it's not super duper sweet. But I should have got Crystal's review. Maybe I'll ask her and she'll text me back about her review of it, because she's not really a cocktail drinker. She more or less enjoys her red wine. Though she'll have, she'll do a little bit of like vodka and lemon juice and stuff. But so I was like, why don't you have one and you can let me know what you think. So I'll ask her what her review is. But overall, I think this is really good. It's very refreshing. I'm sure the sugar content is higher than most people probably want, but yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, but if you're just doing like a small pour and then you're mixing it with water, I mean, the sugar content, you can still keep it low and not have like a 300 calorie drink. You're still kind of cutting that in half. But there was a beer company, I don't remember, it was back in the 90s, and they were making a lager, like a really light Mexican lager with a chili inside of each bottle. I remember buying a 6-pack of that. I go, this is going to have a nice kind of light heat to it, a little spice. You're going to get that tanginess from the jalapeno. It was the hottest thing. I can still remember how hot. I only drank one, and then I was like dumping these out because it was so dang hot that you couldn't even taste the beer. It was just, everything was on fire. Your lips were burning, and I like hot. I have no problem with hot. When I go to hole in the wall Mexican food places, I always go, you give me your hot sauce because I'll put that on my burrito. Absolutely love it. This was ridiculous. I wish I remember the name of it, but it was, in mid 90s, somewhere in there, 95, 96. And I think our buddy Harveen, he tried one also. We had one at the same time. We're like, what in the world is this?
Nice.
Yeah.
So Crystal's review was a GIF of I think that's Vanessa Williams saying really impressed. She was probably like a judge on American Idol or something.
There you go.
She liked it.
All right. Well, good. I might have to give that a shot. I got to branch out a little bit. Denise bought these Topo Chico. Have you heard of those?
Mm-mm.
It's a seltzer. So apparently it's like one of the most popular seltzers.
I have heard of it, yes.
Okay, yeah, it's the most popular seltzer in Mexico. They use actual like mineral water to make this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently Coca-Cola Company bought them, and then in 2017 they farmed out to Molson, which is another one of their companies, and they started making these hard seltzers, but they're still using the mineral water from Mexico, so it has a nice bubbly, creamy finish to it versus a seltzer that has the big airy bubbles in it. So they make these kind of margarita seltzers, and she had a couple over the weekend, and they're pretty good. And I'm not a seltzer drinker.
Yeah.
They're like 100 calories each, 2 grams of sugar, added sugar into it. But they were good. They were tasty. Something I would actually pour into a glass with ice and drink. So
there you go.
I was
All right.
impressed.
Let's get to the nuts and bolts of this conversation here. So Brad and I were trying to figure out what the difference was between this year's team and last year's team, considering they have so many of the same players. And what Brad did was he looked at the WRC plus statistic of the players from last year and then the players from this year and did a little bit of comparison. Can you explain the WRC plus and what that tries to define?
Yeah, so we talk about it all the time. We are not sabermetrics experts. That's not our field. We are
Yes.
fans of the game. We are fans of the Giants, fans of baseball. We go back to the day where if this pitch felt good, you threw it. And that was it. If you thought you can get this guy out, you threw that pitch.
We would go back to the day of when they used to count game-winning RBIs. Like that used to be a
Yes.
stat that you would track, and I think Jack Clark had like 21 one year and led the league.
Yeah, and Candy Maldonado. There was one year we were just through the roof because we're like, Candy Maldonado's leading the league in game-winning RBIs. He's clutch. He's clutch. Little did we know, but I mean, he had a great career. So Bill James, basically the father of sabermetrics, this is a stat that he came up with. There's a gigantic formula. If I brought it out right now, everybody would tune out. We would lose everybody. So I'm not going to bring out the formula of what it is, but basically WRC plus is weighted runs created plus. And again, there's a huge formula. So just WRC, weighted runs created, takes into account WOBA, while WRC plus uses weighted runs above average. So, and anytime you see a plus in a sabermetric formula or name like WRC plus, OPS plus, the plus means that they take the ballpark into account. And they also take league averages into account. So anytime you see WRC plus or OPS plus, you know that it's not, well, this guy plays in Coors.
Right.
So that's why it's better. No, that's all averaged out and evened out. So that's kind of just dumbing it down. And when I say dumbing it down, that means I'm doing it for me because this is all like, like advanced math that I'm not going to get into. But it is how players are basically scored on how they create runs for the team. And as we know, WOBA is weighted on base average. So that's run creation, runs scored, getting on base, stealing bases. It doesn't have anything to do with errors, anything. It's things that they can control and the players around them that can control in the lineup. So when it comes to WRC plus, above 100 is good, below 100 is good. So as you see, I titled this WRC plus is falling because when you look at, so let's look at the left two columns and the players. We've got Brandon Crawford at the top. He played in 85% of the 162 games last year. His WRC plus at the end of the year was 139. Now look over to the right, the WRC plus levels. 160 is excellent. 140 is great. 115 is above average.
He was right below great.
He was almost great. And then again, that 100 is your baseline. That's average. You go above that, you're good. You go below that, you're not doing so good. And then 80 and below Really below 100 is below average because, again, 100 is average. So
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford has gone from being an above average WRC plus, almost great, to being below average this season and still playing in, around 80% of the games, 80 to 85% of the games. Brandon Belt, 60% of the games last year, 158 WRC plus. That was just 2 points away from being excellent, the top. And 54% of the games this year, he is just average, 101. Darren Ruff, 72% of the games last year. His was great, 144. And coming into the season, we were very excited about Darren Ruff. We thought this is going, he broke out a little bit last year. He's a little bit older. What is he, 33, 34 this year? We thought, well, he can kind of stick around there. No, he's back to in 90% of games played of the 78 games this year. He's at 100. He's just dead average. Mike Yastrzemski, one of the few players on the Giants who's actually gone up. He played in almost exactly the same amount of games last year as he has so far this year, around 86, 88%. Last year, 106. He was average. He's gone up to 114. Still average, but he's going up. Longoria, everybody wants to DFA Longoria. Dude, don't DFA him. I know he's only played in 50% of the games last year and 55% of the games this year, but he is one of our better hitters. 123 above average last year, 127 above average again this year.
It's kind of crazy that, when we looked at what he was doing last year, we were like, oh, wow. Like he's found something, the fountain of youth for Evan Longoria. And he's actually doing a better job at creating runs this year, even though maybe those, those back of the baseball card stats don't look quite as good as they did last year.
Yeah, and WRC does actually take into account. And again, if you want to look up the formula, go for it. I tried to follow the formula; it did not go well. But it takes into account, like you said, back of the baseball card numbers, at bats, hits, doubles, triples, home runs, singles, RBIs. I mean, that's run production, that's run creation, and it factors all that in. And with the plus at the end of WRC, it adds in, factors of the ballpark and league average of a lot of these stats. Lamont Wade Jr., again, give the guy a break. He's only played in 18% of the games this year, 67% of the games last year. He's gone from above average at 117 to below average at 95. Flores, pretty much the same.
He's exactly the same guy.
And you can't take him out of the lineup because you don't have Dubon. So you've got to keep Flores in the lineup. So he's played in 94% of the games. So he's right around average. Austin Slater, one of the few guys who has improved. And we've seen that this year. And we said, Austin Slater is a very big part offensively of this team, a sneaky big part of this team offensively this year. So when he was out of the lineup, he was definitely missed. He's gone from 103 to 126 this year. Tyro Estrada, just recently hurt, but he's played in 91% of the games this year as opposed to 32% last year because they got him halfway through, brought him up from AAA last year. He's gone from 119, which is above average, to below average at 98.
That's kind of surprising, right? Isn't that number pretty surprising?
I think if you probably looked at him up until about 6 weeks ago, that number would be much higher because this isn't a cumulative number like WAR. If you're having a great season, your WAR is just going to go up and up and up and up. Your WRC plus is cumulative, but if you go on a bad streak, you can see it fall pretty quickly. Not like WAR where you have a great season, you have a couple of bad weeks, and you're not going to notice it at all. So Tommy LaStella, 47% of the games last year, 41% of the games this year, seems to be always hurt. He was below average this year. He's below average this year, last year and this year, 94 down to 91. Kurt Casale has actually gone up, and we know his slow start last year played into that, but he's played around 50% of the games both seasons so far, and he went from an 82 to 101. And then a couple players that we lost, and everybody said, well, we lost these players. This is why the offense is bad, but not necessarily when you kind of take a deeper look at it. Buster Posey, 70% of the games last year, had a great WRC plus at 140. Chris Bryant, everybody said, well, Chris Bryant's gone too, and that's our offense. No, he was only average. He was 113 last year for the Giants. Played in only 31% of their 162 games because they got him after the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they replaced him, some offense with Jock Peterson. He's played in 88% of the games. He has a 155 WRC plus so far this season, and that is considered great, very close to excellent. And Luis Gonzalez, brought up, stuck around with the team, has played in 63% of the games this season, which that was a surprising number for me. I didn't realize it was that high when I was looking at this, but his WRC plus is 128, which is above average. So they got a great bat and they got an above average bat to replace a great bat and an average bat. So when you look at it, you have to say the players that were having just career years last year, obviously we hoped it wouldn't be the case, but we knew it was going to be very, very difficult to duplicate. Now, if some of those players, let's say Crawford, Belt, Wade Jr. can go on a little bit of a streak together, the Giants will be scoring 6, 7, 8 runs a game again. Pitchers will be a little bit more dialed in. Defense, they can afford to make an error here or there, give up 3 or 4 runs a game. Not on errors, but pitchers can afford to give up 3 or 4 runs a game. The Giants are scoring 6 or 7. If some of this WRC plus can start to go up a little bit, I don't feel like all hope is lost. Looking at those numbers, these players have done it before, but what's the formula? What is it that needs to happen for these players to go on those streaks, to start hitting the ball again? Have they been figured out? As opposing pitchers figured these guys out? I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's just everybody has not been on the field. The Giants' main starters have not been on the field at the same time. They have not been in the lineup at the same time. I bet if we went back and looked and said, how many times have Belt, Crawford, Lamont Wade Jr., Yaz, Longoria, Peterson, how many times have they been in the lineup at the same time? If we can get that to happen for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, I think you're going to see some gelling start to happen. Hitters feed off of hitters. It's not always analytical. It's not always, let me look at the iPad and see how I can hit this particular pitcher. No, you go out there and go, these guys are rocking this guy. I'm feeling it. I'm going out there and I'm going to rip a pitch. I don't know. There's so much to look at. I know the game is very analytical nowadays, but there is a lot of emotion and feel still left in baseball. And I think the Giants just need to find that again.
All right, let's look at the week to come here. We've already played one game this week because we're recording this on Tuesday because of the 4th of July holiday. So Giants lose 8-3 to the Diamondbacks yesterday. That game was no good. I'm not sure, other than VR, I'm not sure what positives you can take away from that game. But
Not
it
a
did.
whole lot.
Maybe the quote, maybe Rodon's quote about something has to change. Maybe that's the positive coming out. So they have 2 more in Arizona against the Diamondbacks, and then they have 3 in San Diego. 4. So if you're looking at it from, I don't know, a playoff perspective, we're almost halfway through the season. Beating San Diego would actually be great, right? Like you could, because they're a really good team so far this year. They are 47-36. They are right around the sort of the next tier after Dodgers and Mets and Braves. They're right there after those teams in the National League. Gosh, the Yankees have 58 wins and 22 losses. Oh my gosh.
That's great. But they did get beat up a little bit by the Astros.
Yeah, well, the Astros have 52 wins. The Astros have
Yeah.
a better record than both the Dodgers and the Mets. But beating the Padres isn't just beating the Padres. Beating the Padres is also gaining ground on them because there is a wild card race that the Giants are in currently. The Padres, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Cardinals all have better records than the Giants right now. So they are fifth in a race for 3. But gaining some ground on the Padres would be good. They got 4 shots at them. As badly as the Giants have played, they still have a plus 23 run differential, though that is they've definitely taken a piece out of that of late. But we're not. I would hesitate to say must win anything. I just want to see them play well, because if they compete against some of these good teams, that shows you that there is going to be a little bit more fight in them than maybe we think that there is right now. But when you're losing to teams like Detroit and Chicago, though Chicago is, they're close to 500. They're not a complete doormat, but Detroit is a complete doormat, and they lost to them once out of those 2 games. They got shut out in one of those games. So we'll see what they're made of, really, is kind of the way that I look at this Padres series. And they're still a better team than Arizona. Arizona is a 36-44, and their run differential is a minus 45. So the Giants theoretically should be beating up on a team like this. And so we'll see how that works. You know what I realized? So the Giants have a pretty interesting schedule here, because they go D-backs and Padres. Then next week they come home and it's D-backs again. So they'll have a real good opportunity to sort of figure out this D-backs team. And, Gabe Kapler's all about preparation. So they should, this is kind of a series that by the second time go round, they should kind of know some things about these guys. Then the Brewers come into town for 4, and Brewers are a really good team, and that's right before the All-Star break. So then the Giants could go to the All-Star break, and then they come back from the All-Star break 4 in LA.
Yeah. It doesn't get easier. It just doesn't get easier, and that's baseball.
Yeah.
When you're losing and you're getting your butts kicked and you are down in the dumps, baseball doesn't say, "All right, let's make you feel better.
Yeah, give you a break."
Let's make this easy for you. No, baseball doesn't do that. It goes, "Here's your schedule in November, December." They go, "Here's your schedule. I don't give a crap what you're like after the All-Star break. You're coming out of it and you're going to LA to face your rivals for 4." That's the bottom line.
Yes. And then after that series, they're back in Arizona. So they play a total of 9 games against the Diamondbacks in the month of July. So again, they're going to be very acquainted with each other. But the best part of that last series in Arizona, I'm going to be in Arizona.
There you go.
So I don't know which game I will go to. Probably that day game, which is the Wednesday game. That would be the one that I would want to go to, because, day game, get it out of the way, and still have night stuff with the family. That would be my preference. So I think we're going to try to go to that one. But yeah, last year we went to Arizona and I got to see the Diamondbacks play the Rockies. Talk about 2 uninspired ball clubs at that point of the year. Jeez.
Yeah.
But it would be great. I'll get to wear my roadie. I don't ever get to wear my roadie to the ballpark, because I'm always going to the home game. So this will be the first time in a while I get to wear the roadie.
Well, should we expect some live tweeting during the game?
Live tweeting. If we're close enough, I'll be able to get some photographs.
Nice.
We'll get the get stuff going on social media. And then I always love the live look at the game, because there's some things you can tell live versus just watching it on TV. So I always like to check that out. But yeah, ultimately, at least we'll go to one of those, and that'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think I'm going to have to record. So after that series, they come home to play the Cubbies, right?
Yes.
That's Saturday, July 30th, last Saturday, July game of the season. is Will Clark, number 22, retirement day.
Yes.
So they're going to have the ceremony. I'm going to be camping that weekend.
Oh,
So I have no service where we go. So I'm going to need to record that because, he is the part of the namesake of our podcast. He was our, childhood baseball hero. So that's going to be a big day for us.
all he does is tweet video of his own at bats.
What else does he need to do? That's pretty much it. Maybe he could tweet the video of him turning around and popping Ozzie Smith in the face,
or the one that you love, the Gary Park video where he says he's waited his whole life for this effing time, whatever he said.
Yeah, the whole effing amateurs. Yeah, that's classic. So I have some Will Clark memorabilia stuff, so maybe I'll break that out and start throwing that up on our social media as we head into that weekend. So I'm actually going to be home and not on vacation for the home run derby and the All-Star game for the first time in years.
Wow.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that, even though, of course, the one time I am, it's at stinking Chavez latrine again. So that's a bummer.
Yeah. So, we'll figure out, because we're going to record early for the next show, which is is going to be this weekend, actually, because you're going to be gone. I will be gone the following week. Wait, let me think about that. Yeah, I will be. No, let me think about this. I think I'll be gone the following. So we'll figure out a schedule. I would like to at least record once while I'm in. I'm on vacation. I'll have access, and maybe it's right before the series with Arizona. So we may go dark for 1 week, but that'll be it, and we'll still have stuff to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But all right, we got this one done a little early today.
We did.
I guess the problems with this team, at least offensively, because we focused mostly on offense. Last week we talked about defense. It was pretty easy to pinpoint. The guys who were playing very well last year, not playing as well.
Yeah, it's not a mystery. I mean, it's usually when teams are stinking it up, it's not really hard to find. It's not hidden in the deep crevices of things. It's pretty out there when you see guys waving at sliders 3 feet off the plate in 1-2 counts. You kind of know what's going on. Yeah,
who's the guy that threw Sunday for the White Sox? Lucas.
Giolito.
Yeah,
Giolito.
It was as if the Giants had never seen a changeup in their life.
Yeah,
the changeup baffled them.
He's on my fantasy team. I sent you the stats. I go, this guy has been, horking it up for the last 3 weeks, going out there and giving up 7 or 8 runs. I go, he's going to make us look like a single A team. And sure enough, that's what he did. So
yep.
I got some fantasy points, but I would trade him for a Giants W in a heartbeat.
All right. That's it from here. We'll be back this weekend. So look for some tweets and some Facebook posts from us to kind of talk about when we're going to record. I believe our good buddy from the UK, Ash Day, is going to be on with us. So we'll get his perspective on all this nonsense of Giants baseball and how he sees it from the other side. Check out Ash's pieces that he's been writing as well. On Bat Flip. Is it Bat Flips and Nerds?
Flips and Nerds. Yes.
So, all right. So we will see you this weekend for the next show. For Brad, I'm Double G. We'll see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.